Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is my review for Teen Wolf Season 4, Episode 9, Perishable. And this episode, I really enjoyed it. It was a really great episode. Really did enjoy this episode. Thought it was really good. Not as good as last week's, but still thought this was a fantastic episode. A lot of great stuff in this episode. And especially the ending. We now know who the benefactor is. And I was not expecting the benefactor to be who it was revealed to be. So let's just get to this episode. Basically, this episode actually focused on Jordan Parrish becoming a member of Scott's pack. Because Jordan is strapped to the steering wheel, and the assassin is a fellow cop, Hank, and he burns the car with Jordan inside, and Hank begins his confirmation with the benefactor, and the benefactor asks for confirmation, and Lydia and Stiles are there with their theory about Lydia's grandmother faking her death, and Jordan walks in, and he's not dead, and he beats Hank up really bad, and a bullet from Hank's gun accidentally shoots Sheriff Stilinski in the shoulder, and we get a glimpse of Hank's computer as well as the benefactor's latest message, which basically says that the kill has not yet been confirmed. So, Jordan Parrish is not dead yet. So Jordan, alongside Derek, Lydia, and Scott, asks what he is, and he should be dead, and he wonders why he survived the fire. So Derek's not sure what kind of supernatural creature Jordan is. Now, of course, Jordan just thinks that that Lydia's sidekick, because Lydia didn't tell him all of it, because she didn't want to freak him out and get him involved with this, obviously. But now that this has happened to him, it might be time to tell him what's really going on. Because what ends up happening is that basically Lydia says to him that, he says, are you all sidekick like Lydia? He said, and they say, no, sidekick, there's more to it. And Derek suggests he should ask Chris to take a look at the Argent Beastery, but Scott doesn't know where he is. So in Derek's loft, the gang and their newest member, Jordan, talk about the Deadpool and how easy it might be for people to get their hands on it. And Liam, in the meantime, is sleeping in his bed when his printer begins freaking out and printing endless copies of the Deadpool. He gets up to investigate, unplugs the printer to stop the printing, and he doesn't know why it's doing that. So Lydia begins telling them about her grandmother's story. Lorraine Martin used to, basically, this is the story. So Lorraine Martin used to work for IBM, and IBM, the very successful computer company, and one weekend she came into her powers while away in San Francisco. She sensed that her girlfriend, who was the love of her life, was about to die, and ever since that moment made it her life's mission to discover what exactly she was and what kind of power she possessed. She began to work with parapsychologists who established an involved study at the lake house. Nothing they did or tried could locate answers. Eventually, Meredith ended up walking into the study. They almost killed her in one of their experiments, but Meredith never really recovered after that. And so, with her fragile mind, she was forced into Eichen House. And Lydia says that Lorraine Martin drove Meredith crazy, and then years later drove her to commit suicide. So that is why Meredith was so crazy, was because of basically Lydia's grandmother. And I thought that was a very good reveal. The way they did that story, I just thought that was a really good reveal. The way they did that, I really enjoyed it. And I just thought that was definitely a very, very good reveal. I really enjoyed that reveal. So, Lydia's obviously still guilt-ridden about Meredith's death, and Lydia presents the gang with her note her grandmother left her. And the note is written in the same code as the Deadpool, which, as far as we know, Lorraine wrote. Now, the only problem with this mysterious paper note is that there's no cipher key, so that's obviously an issue. So Scott runs into his bedroom, begins counting the bag of money beneath his bed, spits it up almost as if he's going to hand it out, but then he comes to his senses and throws it back under his bed. And, so he didn't end up throwing out the cash, because, he still had that bag of money, definitely. Now, Scott, here's the other thing I'm about to say about Scott. Scott in the last episode was having very weird, I didn't talk about this. When Scott was having those dreams last week, he was having very dark dreams, definitely. So Scott is definitely thinking about possibly going dark. He's definitely thinking about that, and in that scene kind of showed that he might be thinking about going dark. So, definitely he's kind of having, like, some sort of psychological problem there. I don't really know what it is. I think maybe he's either doing good or something like that. I really don't know. So, Liam walks into school, and he's suffering from a bit of PTSD, obviously, after his run-in with one of the Berserkers. So, his friend Mason asks if he'll be attending the bonfire tonight, and Liam's not sure, but Mason insists. And Lydia and Stiles are trying to crack her grandmother's code, and they struggle, and they try to find words that were associated with Lydia and her grandmother, things that meant a lot to them both, and at the time they spent together. So Lydia remembers that they always used to read The Little Mermaid before bedtime, and she figures out the next chapter. Ariel, that is the password here. Basically, Lorraine Martin is on this list, which does not make sense because obviously she thought she killed herself. She thought that she was dead, basically. So, meanwhile, the Deadpool is being printed out all over the school, literally everywhere. Every member, everywhere in the school, it's being printed out, and the printers just won't stop printing. So, Derek's name has been removed from the list. Liam's worth has been increased. Now he's worth $18 million. And then to bring the newest crack code to Jordan, and he says it's not another Deadpool, rather it's more like an already Deadpool, and all three these people died and committed suicide while in Eichen House. So, of course there's going to be, as I said, there is going to be a bonfire, and whenever there's some sort of a party on the show, we know that shit's going to go down, definitely. When there's a party, we know what's going to happen. We know it's not going to end up good if there's some sort of a party. So, basically, the bonfire ensues. It's an epic party that no way would ever be associated with, but Malia's at the party trying to get drunk. She's very upset, obviously. They can't get drunk. Malia's obviously very upset. Still at Scott. She really does not want to talk to him right now. She really wants nothing to do with him. And I don't blame Malia. I mean, she found out that her father was, Peter and everything. And we haven't seen Malia all episode. By the way, there was no Kira in this episode once again. I don't know where she was, but Kira was not in this episode. She was mentioned, but she was not in the episode. I don't know where she was or whatever, but where's Kira? I don't know. She wasn't in this episode. Basically, Malia's trying to get drunk, though, and Liam does the same, and Scott ends up telling Malia that she can't get drunk. They just can't get drunk. It's not something that that they can do. It doesn't seem like something that can happen to them. They can't get drunk. It's that simple. They can't get drunk. And basically what ended up happening is that, what ended up happening basically is that they can't get drunk basically just because of the fact that why can't they get drunk? I'm trying to remember why they can't get drunk. Why can't they get drunk? Basically, Scott said they couldn't get drunk, but it seemed like Malia was drunk. It just, they can't get drunk. It doesn't seem like they can. He didn't think that a wolf could get drunk or anything. So, Lydia and Styles, they want to get in, but Malia clearly seems like she's drunk. So, Lydia and Styles, they want to get into Eichen House to look through some files. They think that they might be able to get to bribe the orderly, because, they really want to find out, what's going on. And they show up at Eichen House, and they find this guy, Brunsky, with $500 before. By the way, the guy that played Brunsky actually played the Nogitsune last season. Yeah, so he played the Nogitsune, in that last season, and, so, because I saw Wolf Watch, and Jeff Davis talked about how he played the Nogitsune, and that's why he brought him back. So, he shows him in the file room, puts in a cassette tape labeled mixtape, and this guy was extremely creepy. He really was, and, I mean, great job. This guy definitely, he did a great job of being creepy. So at the bonfire, Malia and Liam, they're consuming alcohol. They're appearing to get drunk, even though they shouldn't be able to get wasted. And Scott's very worried. He thinks that there must be something or someone at work here, because they shouldn't be able to get drunk. So Brunsky leads Lydia and Styles in the file room and leaves. Styles takes a look at the recent list they printed out, and he asks Lydia why she wrote another name on the list. She said that she didn't. Why would she write another name on the list? And Styles says he's not sure, but that it's in her handwriting, it's his name. And Brunsky's them back into the room, tases them, and ties them up. So that's obviously really weird. So Jordan examines the records of these people who died while in Eichen House, and he discovers that the orderly on call at the time of all of these deaths was Al Brunsky. So Brunsky is revealed as the benefactor, and he says he's not some serial killer. Now, when we found out he was a benefactor, I'm like, no, I was not happy that he was a benefactor, because here's the thing. Basically, he is not, I didn't think he was a benefactor because he's a character, when they bring a character we've never seen before and make them the benefactor, that's really cheap in my opinion when they do that. I thought that was going to be very cheap. I was not happy. When you bring on a character you've never seen before and say, oh, they were the benefactor, and we've never seen them, that's really cheap in my opinion. It's very cheaply done the way that was done, and I was not really a fan of the way they were doing that. I really wasn't. However, we'll talk about something in a second. Basically, he says that he's not some serial killer. He says that he takes his work at Eichen House very seriously. He said that there are people who are here who don't just need help, but he needs release. And he says that there are people here, basically he says that there's always been one thing that's puzzling though. He plays for Lydia a tape labeled Lorraine Martin. So at the bonfire, Scott realizes that Malia and Liam and he aren't drunk or poisoned. It's the music that's making them sick and dizzy. And Mason comes to their side in an effort to help, and Scott makes a move to go turn off the music, which is being run by a DJ, and he's grabbed by some cops who are who are clearly assassins. And Malia, Scott, and Liam, they're taken into the school, doused with gasoline, and the cop says, Hank says we gotta burn you, because, you know, Hank's not dead yet. So I thought that was just, that was really intense there when that happened, basically. And, pretty much what ends up happening after that is, in the tape, Lorraine says, please don't hurt her, please don't hurt Ariel, and Brunsky says that was always the part that always confused him, and that he needs her to explain away this mystery, and Lydia cries, and Lydia doesn't offer any real information here. So Brunsky goes over to a shelf and says that there are a lot of teenagers who try to break into their drug cabinets, and he prepares a syringe full of something. He seems to be saying that he's going to stage their suicide, which was an overdose, which is really big. So Mason succeeds in shutting off the music, pulls the power cord, so you know, Liam and Malia are okay. However, Scott manages to find his wits, and before the cops can actually burn Scott, he ends up getting his wits basically. And Brunsky is about to inject Lydia with a drug, but Jordan comes rushing in. Jordan tells him to put the syringe down. Brunsky says he doesn't think he'll shoot him, but he does. And Brunsky dies coughing up blood, and he mutters, I was never the one. She was controlling me. And the question is, who's she? Because Lydia then realizes, holy shit, he's not the benefactor. And, you know, this is when Lydia realizes he's not the benefactor. There's someone else that's the benefactor. And then, guess who we see? We hear someone say, surprise, surprise, and it turns out to be Meredith. Meredith says, you know, he's not on my list because he was a bad guy. And Meredith the Banshee is the benefactor. In my opinion, that's a really awesome twist. I'm really happy that Team Wolf did this. I think it's a really cool twist, in my opinion. Really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with this twist, especially the fact that Meredith was a friend of Lorraine Martin. I'm very interested in seeing what's going to happen here. Definitely very interested in seeing what's going to happen there. Now, I have a couple of questions now about what happened, basically. What is going to happen with, what's going to happen with Meredith? You know, how does she stage all this? How does this all work out? I'm interested in seeing her plan, you know, what's going to happen there. Very interested in seeing what's going to happen there. As far as Jordan goes, are you happy he's become part of the pack? I think I'm happy that he's become part of the pack. I like that he's part of the pack, definitely. I think it's good. Definitely that he's part of the pack. And then as far as Scott goes, do you think Scott might possibly think about going dark ever? I still think he has these thoughts about going dark. I really do. I feel like he does. And by the way, Malia. What do you guys think of Malia in this episode? I thought, honestly, I felt bad for Malia. I really did. Do you guys feel like Malia... Do you feel bad for her? I definitely feel bad for her because, you know, Scott and Stiles did not tell her the truth about who her father was, and obviously she's upset. So, do you think she has a right to be upset? I definitely think she does. And where was Kira this entire episode? I really don't know where she was, but she was not in this episode. But that's basically it for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys saw of this episode, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for another movie review. So, I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.